Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. It's your boy. All
I do is win, no matter what.
Chazz. And we got the full house today, boys. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jay Coleman. Jay Coleman, what's up, dog?
What's going on, boys?
We got choking over there in the corner. We got the no nickname, no nonsense.
Yes, sir.
What your name is?
What's up, Adam Van Hoen? And a drop for you. And of course, over there, we got the fantasy football surgeon himself.
Hey, like a surgeon.
Zags. What's up, Zags?
What's up, boys? Adam's over there choking on Chick-fil-A.
I know.
So we decided to drop in here and have a chit-chat that Adam is eating Chick-fil-A on screen right now, and I said the most true thing on earth, that Chick-fil-A is ass. And the boys wanted to rebuttal. So Chick-fil-A,
Listen.
I think, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about when we think of chicken sandwiches, what are we thinking about? Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, McDonald's, Wendy's, what am I missing? KFC.
Burger King.
Can we pause for just 1 second before we get too far away from this? Guys, drop an L in the chat for Chazz, who had the perfect opportunity to say that we are going to have a chick chat and did not take it.
Very true.
Okay.
Very
true.
true.
Continue. Go on.
Wait, I got...
I also would go. Listen, I understand if you like other chicken sandwiches over Chick-fil-A, but to say Chick-fil-A is ass, that's what's mind blowing to me right now.
Bro. I don't know about that one, man. I never liked. So where we're at here in Buffalo, New York, Chick-fil-A just popped up probably about 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago, and still to this day, there's always a wait around the drive-thru.
Goes a lot faster than you think it does.
But still, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that's how busy Chick-fil-A is around here, and I just think it's garbage. So and what I want to say about that is I was going to tell you guys, Adam, we're talking about strict chicken sandwich, fried chicken sandwich, right? Most of them come maybe with pickles, whatever. Maybe they're spicy, all right? Who has the best chicken sandwich? Of those main ones I answered. Don't give me a local place. Don't say me, even though it's me. Stop it. But just of those chain places.
You're a burger place, not a chicken place.
No.
There's a difference.
Digging deep.
I'll tell you what, man. If I have a choice, I'm going Chick-fil-A all day long. Over Popeyes, over McDonald's, over Wendy's, all that. If I'm in a debate or a dilemma in my head of what chicken sandwich I want to order to eat, I'm going Chick-fil-A, dude.
Listen, not only am I the authority here because A, I'm the chef, but B, I'm the fat one. So it is I'm double authorita here to say you're wrong. But what's your answer, Jay?
I'd say either Popeyes or Burger King for me.
Burger King, interesting. Yeah. What about for you, Zach?
It's a
you know
sleeper.
What? I'm gonna ruffle some feathers here and just go out on a limb and say that I don't think that there is a superior chicken sandwich. If I really got to think about it, I think they fucking all kind of taste the same, man. It's how could you fuck up a chicken sandwich? So I'm judging the merit of the place based on the sides. And when it comes to the sides, like fries and stuff like that, I'm going Chick-fil-A.
Their mac and cheese is unmatched.
So Chick-fil-A is so great because they have good fries. That's what you're saying to me. Okay.
Bro,
all right.
I'm kind of with Dave on this, though. Like I was saying before we recorded, and I said that they're all basically the same.
Right.
Chick-fil-A has better fries than McDonald's? Stop it.
I think they do.
Oh, ouch.
I wouldn't go that far, but
does not have better Chick-fil-A does not. I don't even know if they have do they have not mac and cheese. Do they have mashed potatoes?
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah. Do they?
Probably.
Then it's not. I don't know if they do, but I'm sure it's not better than Popeyes because Popeyes is awesome. But so when it comes to Chick-fil-A and Popeyes, I'm taking Popeyes. But I think the best fast food chicken sandwich that you could buy is the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's. I love that. That for me is just an amazing piece of chicken. Jay, I wanted to touch on your pick of Burger King because I think that's insanity. But are you talking about the long boy?
no.
You're talking about the thick boy?
Yeah.
The little normal chicken sandwich that you can get.
No,
Not
so
the,
they have
not
like
the original chicken
no.
sandwich.
So they have the long one. They have like the long one. They have like the chicken patty one, but then they have like a legit like chicken sandwich like all the other ones have.
But props to all of us for nobody saying KFC because that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
not-
okay, let's take it easy here, boys. The mashed potatoes are great.
Come on, KFC mashed potatoes literally taste like those mashed potatoes that you get in the TV dinner, and they never heat up right, and it's always like little icicles in the middle of the mashed potatoes in the
But
TV
then
dinner.
when you add popcorn, chicken, gravy, cheese, and corn to it, like it's a
Sure.
perfect mix.
But the mashed potatoes in general suck, so I had to stomp on Dave's opinion on that one.
KFC mashed potatoes are salt and water, and I love that.
You know what I say to KFC's mashed potatoes, Dave? I say, "Ha, tuh." That's what I say. Is
Get
that
outta
even?
here.
Can we do that
now we're
anymore?
definitely
No,
getting
that
canceled.
is
that-
long been dead.
Damn it, that is long been
Her
dead.
15 minutes is way overdue.
All right, here. So we figured that'd be a great debate. So thanks for checking out the episode, guys. We'll see you in that episode. All right. So we are here to continue our deep dive into the divisions of the NFL, and today we are doing the Southern Division. We're gonna be talking about Adams era right now. This is Adam territory right now. So he's going to be the go-to when it comes to everything Titans. And then
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, and if Saints Joe shows up in the chat, he could be everything go-to for the Saints when we get to them. But nobody's in the chat yet. So, but are we streaming? I'm making sure. Yes, we are live on the Chazzcast on Twitch. Everybody. So, without further ado, boys, let's just get it started in the AFC chat. Adam, did you get the link that's in the chat?
Not yet.
All right, I will re-put it there for you.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, you got it. All right, because we actually got the right link that has better information. So we are going to start with the. Let me see here. I haven't done this in a while. We are going to start with
Reigning, defending, undisputed.
AFC South champions, right, of the Houston Texans.
Yep.
And if you guys remember correctly to last year's episode, you guys don't have to go back and listen. All of us said that Houston was going to win the division, and we all said that they're going to be really good, and they had great wide receivers that were just buried on the depth chart, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yep, exactly.
Right?
I called it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I almost could have got arrested for almost murdering what they did in the offseason about trading away their first-round pick to get Will Anderson and all that stuff. And I thought that first-round pick was going to be like a first overall pick, and I was wrong because Will Anderson didn't like change the team, but the team was way better than any of us expected. I don't think any of us had them winning more than 4 games, and they were a division-winning playoff team.
If I remember correctly, I think we all said don't draft anybody from the Texans.
Yep.
I would never say such things. I was super high on the Texans.
I know I was very, very, very down on them, and I was wrong. But let's talk about some of their key additions. They had all of that success last year, and check out these key additions: Danielle Hunter, Stefon Diggs, Azeez Al-Shaair, Miles Bryant, Joe Mixon, Danico Autry, C.J. Henderson, Jeff Okudah, Foley Fatuske, Noah Brown, Desmond King, Dare Ogunbowale, and Dalton Schultz. Because some of those were re-signed, like Schultz, right? And
I think Brown was a re-sign too.
yeah, Noah Brown.
is a re-signed also.
Some of those were re-signings. To add to their additions in the draft of Kamari Lassiter, Blake Fisher, and who cares? And they had some departures, and the big one there is Devin Singletary, but they replaced him with Joe Mixon, which is sure that's an upgrade, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Joe Mixon's an upgrade over Singletary. I mean, us as Bills fans know what Singletary could have been, but wasn't.
And he played great.
He played great in Houston last year. I think he had a pretty decent season. He was fantasy viable for a little while there when Dameon Pierce went down. Adding Joe Mixon, though, puts him right back on the back burner like he's been his entire career.
Where he deserves to be. So Bleacher Report gave them an A- free agency trade grade, and Danielle Hunter's a great defensive lineman, and bringing in Stefon Diggs, though, we need to talk about it as Bills fans. We could be salty about it. We could be truthful about it. Maybe we're a little too close to the situation to be biased. But I don't know if it's going to work like they think it's going to work. He's getting a little worst up. He's a fucking diva. We've all learned it. And now you're putting him on this young team that had some great standout wide receivers last year. Is this hurting them by bringing Stefon Diggs in? You have two receivers. Nico Collins looked like a stud, and then Tank Dell was looking like on his road to be a stud. Now you're bringing in Now you're bringing in a certified bona fide diva who thinks he's an alpha, who already left 2 teams because he wasn't getting the ball enough. And now you're bringing him in this situation. I see doom and gloom. I mean, I don't think that Houston's going to be bad. I just mean the situation with Diggs.
I don't think they really care, honestly, and I think they're already buying out the rest of his contract for the years on it. I think they're already planning on it not working out. Because, I mean, like, if you're hopeful that he's going to be good enough, then you wouldn't buy out the remaining years and let him be a free agent.
And I think they already did and offered him a 1-year deal, right?
They like whatever they call it. It's like restructure or whatever they want to call it. But basically, this is like a 1-year deal for him, and they just are making the rest of his contract disappear after this year.
Well, Goose says in the chat that he'll be out of Houston after a year.
I mean,
kind of close to that.
I mean, probably because they got rid of so this is a 1-year deal for him. So I mean,
he was behaved for 2 years in Buffalo, and then he started his shit.
Right,
and he had no.
But he heavily involved in the offense.
That's what I'm saying. He had no competition. Like, he had Gabe Davis, which we all know that's not competition. He had, and then Dalton Kincaid was a little competition, and things started to get spicy for him. He's not the number 1 on this team. That's Nico Collins. There's a chance he's not the number 2. Oh, and don't forget about Dalton Schultz, and don't forget about Joe Mixon. So, like, I don't know. And then Goose is saying after this year he's off to Dallas to be with his brother. I mean, that could be a thing. I don't see this ending well by week 5 when, Tank Dell has 40 catches and Nico Collins has 35 catches and Diggs has 9. I don't see it ending well.
I mean, I don't see it ending well. I see it starting okay while they're waiting for Tank Dell to fully recover from his injury.
Yeah.
So, regardless of that, though, I mean, they still have Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon in the mix. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
It's just, it's just going to be the same situation, and he's just going to cry and complain, and you're going to have another meltdown. You're going to have another, diva episode when he's not, when he's used to getting targeted 12, 13 times a game. He might only get targeted 4 or 5 times a game now, so I guess we'll have to see how it plays out.
Well, I mean, he might be able to hide it for a year since this is basically a contract year now for him. He's gonna.
That's the other thing too.
He's gonna have to hide it a little bit to get more teams interested in him. So
yeah, you're right. After having done this 2 times now for 2 teams that you played for, do you really want that reputation on a 3rd team and then potentially ruining the rest of your career?
Yeah, and this is the first time that he's going to have control of where he goes because he was traded the last 2 times. So now he's going to hit free agency, and he's going to have to. He can pick any team that's going to offer him something. So he's going to have to hide it.
And I want to point out for some of the detractors I hear about Stefon Diggs, they say that, like, oh, it wasn't his fault. The offense changed. It was Joe Brady, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fair. We'll look into it. We fired Joe Brady after what? The Denver game, was it?
You mean
I believe it.
I'm sorry. Ken Dorsey.
No, Ken Dorsey. I believe it was Denver.
So we're just going to look at the targets. We're not going to talk about the production. The targets for Steph Diggs. The first 4 weeks of the season, he had 11 targets, 16 targets, 12 targets, 12 targets. And then the next 3 games, he had 7, 5, and then, 7 and 5. And so he already was dropping off, right? Still with Ken Dorsey. And then Ken Dorsey gets fired. Joe Brady comes in, and here's his targets: 8, 11, 11, 5, 8, 7, 8. So, yes, his targets did go down, but his production massively went down. And it's not like you're getting 7 and 5 targets at the end of the season. You're getting 8, 7, 8, 5, 11, 11. You never broke 16. You had 16 in week 2. Then you had 11, 12, and 12. You also had 2 11s without Ken Dorsey. We can't blame it all Ken Dorsey. Some of it has to be that he took a step back. It has to be. Because he wasn't as efficient either. I think he took a step back or he stopped playing, which makes him a bitch. And also, he's just not going to be the alpha in this offense. And if they make him the alpha at this offense, this team is going to suck and fall apart. So they can either play the way they played and bring in this veteran who will shut his mouth and play, or they cater to this fucking diva and the team falls apart around him. Dave, you've been awfully quiet, though. What do you...
I'm going to take a second here and just kind of collect everything because I feel like there's a lot to unpack. I'm super happy that Jay kind of brought up that this is essentially a contract year for Stefon Diggs. And I think people are maybe going a little overboard here, kind of blowing the situation up a little bit. You cannot tell me that there's any situation where adding Stefon Diggs to your team does not make you a better team. I know he took a step back. I know, and as Bills fans, we all remember the one big drop that he had. You know what I mean? But you cannot tell me that adding a receiver of Stefon Diggs' caliber to your team is going to make you worse. And honestly, if he took a step back last year, this could be a great situation for him because now he doesn't have to be the lead dog. You know what I mean? Now he can kind of participate, and a lot like Jay said, this is a contract year, so he doesn't want to cause noise. And Houston's already figured out this contract situation, so he doesn't really have any legs to stand on because Houston's shown that if he's going to be a pain in the ass, he's fucking gone. So, I mean, I think Houston's holding all the cards here. Stefon Diggs still has something in the tank. He's still a good wide receiver. He's still going to make big plays. And if he wants to be a little bitch about it, they're ready to just fucking kick him to the curb. So he's headed into free agency. He's got to be on his best behavior. I don't know. I don't see a situation where having Stefon Diggs on this team is going to make Houston any worse.
Him bringing the morale and bringing the whole chemistry down from the team. Where's he going to fit in? He's not going to be the outside guy. That's going to be Nico. He's definitely not the slot guy. Tank Dell's one of the best slot guys in the league. So he's going to settle for secondary routes and deep plays? He's not going to settle for that. Absolutely not. He's going to play the Gabe Davis role? Get the fuck out of here. No way. No way. There's no way. And then he's going to bring it down and be a miserable prick about it. So that's how it could make the team worse.
I mean, he doesn't have a choice, though. Are you telling me that Stefon Diggs is going to stand on his values so much that he's willing to be done with football? Is this Stefon Diggs' last year of football? Because if he wants to act like a little bitch and be a fucking pain in the ass, it doesn't matter if he hits free agency because nobody will want him. And I think he knows that.
Like Goose said, 1 year and then he's off to Dallas. He's been talking about playing with his brother forever.
Yeah, but that's also assuming that front office and everything is going to want him.
It's not like Stefon Diggs and Trayvon Diggs can just be like, yeah, we're making this fucking happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a dude running the team that's got to cut that check.
Have you heard of Bronny James?
What?
Have you heard of Bronny James?
Are you really saying that Stefon Diggs' brother is the same as LeBron James?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Jesus Christ. I think this is the Chazz biased podcast over here. He hates Stefon Diggs so much that he's just making up fucking bullshit right now.
You're fucking crazy.
I didn't like Diggs 1 year. I was skeptical of Diggs coming in because I thought he was a diva. Then he played ball for a year and was quiet, and everything crept right back out. So, this is not like it's a new thing for me. I've never seen anything about his talent except his talent stepped back last year. We've seen it.
Well, also, if you saying that, then you know that he can be quiet for a year because he was quiet for a year here. So
right, yeah, sure. But he was quiet as a 26-year-old. He's turning 31 this year. He knows he doesn't have
contract year. Exactly. So he needs to get the next contract because it's probably going to be his last one. And
is he going to win the Super Bowl with Houston in his next 2 years? I don't think so. In the same conference as Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, I mean, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, like he's probably got a better chance to make the Super Bowl in the NFC. So I mean, I don't know. It's just that's how it is. But anyway, to talk about fantasy football a little bit, where do you put Stefon Diggs between those three receivers? I mean, I'll start. Nico's my number one, and then I'm stuck between the two. But I think I would put Dell, if Dell is going to play, as the number two, and then Diggs as the number three, because I don't see that big of a role for Diggs. I mean, Diggs will get his, but Nico has his job, and Dell has his job. Nico's the outside guy. Dell is the slot guy. What is Diggs' role going to be? Just the secondary guy. And I think that's why I'm going to put Dell ahead of him. Does anybody have Diggs as the first option?
So here's the thing, right? And I hate to make this comparison, but I'm almost kind of treating CJ Stroud at this point like a Mahomes. Like, I know that he's got talented wide receivers, but I don't know. They're all three of them are just kind of getting drafted too high with this much uncertainty, don't you think?
Yes, for sure.
Like, I kind of just don't want to touch any of them and just kind of see how it shakes out and let somebody else deal with the bullshit.
Okay, so
yeah, because you definitely don't. Yeah, we can speculate all we want, but you don't know. They might see something in Diggs and they're like, okay, Diggs is number one, Nico Collins is number two. You have no idea what's going to go on in training camp and everything else. So,
and they could just spread the ball around and like look at where these guys are going. Like Diggs and Nico Collins are going like I've seen them go second, third round a lot, and there's more.
There's better receivers to go.
There's better receivers and more receivers that I trust going right around there.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my counter argument to what you're saying. Not counter argument per se, but like how I view these receivers. So Tank Dell's different. Tank Dell was the slot guy, right? But Tank Dell averaged 15 yards a catch. He had 709 yards on 47 receptions with 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns out of 47 receptions. That's pretty big. Okay. So out of Nico, now we're going to talk about Nico and Diggs. Diggs had way more receptions. Diggs had 107. Nico had 80. All right. But the difference is Nico with 27 less receptions had way more yards than Stefon Diggs. He had 1,297 yards on 80 receptions with a rookie quarterback. And Stefon Diggs had 1,183 yards with Josh Allen. Okay, so 100 yards more, whatever. But the game average, or the average per game, Diggs was averaging 11 yards per game, or 11 yards per catch, I guess. And Nico was averaging 16 yards per catch. Those are stark differences. And now you're putting him in to a team that it's not his team now. He's coming in as the new cat. So those Diggs numbers surprised me because those Diggs numbers were kind of like PPR guy numbers. Like you would think of like Keenan Allen.
But the argument against that is you're only looking at last year.
We're coming off of last year. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
But you're only looking at last year. So like if you look at the careers of these players, like Nico's never been that guy. He came out of nowhere last year. You know what I mean? He's always been a decent wide receiver, but he's never been that guy. Stefon Diggs has been that guy for the better part of a decade. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. It's a question mark to me. Like,
yeah,
even if
hard
Stefon
to make that
Diggs,
comparison.
Even if Stefon Diggs wasn't on this team, like I'm not even sure if Nico Collins can repeat last year without Diggs on this team.
I think so. I mean, 80 receptions, 1,300 yards, and 8 TDs. That's not insane.
I mean, if you look at his production before last year, it's pretty insane jump.
Sure, but he didn't have C.J. Stroud, so I mean that's a whole different thing. I mean, you gotta rank them, Dave. You gotta rank them. It's a fantasy football show. You're giving advice. Rank those three.
If I'm gonna rank them right now, I'm probably just going to. I'm gonna take a flyer on Nico as the number one just because they already have the rapport. I'm gonna take Diggs second. I'm taking Diggs second. They didn't bring him in for nothing, and I don't know.
All right. What do you say, Jay?
Dell is third.
Yeah, I agree with Dave on this one. Probably.
Okay.
You just can't discredit Diggs just because he's a diva. I mean, the guy can play football, and so he had a down year at the end, at the end of the season last year. But I agree. I mean, he has good football left, and we all know it. It's just,
But
it is a big question mark, and the fact that we're sitting here spending so much time on it, I agree with
it's important.
I agree with Dave, and just pass on him and let somebody else deal with the headache.
I mean, that's not
Unless you
a
can, unless you can get them like later on than what they're projected going for, then yeah, take a chance. But I mean, where they're going now, I think is too high for the question marks.
yeah, and I know I had to rank them, but I'll be the first to say I'm not touching either of them in the second round.
And
Not even a thought.
And just to remind people at home where they finished last year, Steph Diggs with Josh Allen finished 12th overall, and Nico Collins with rookie C.J. Stroud finished 9th overall. So Nico had the better year, right? We just touched on that, number-wise than Steph Diggs and fantasy-wise with Steph Diggs, and it's still his. I still think it's his offense. You can't. If anyone says Steph Diggs first out of the three, is crazy, but I can understand putting him second. I just think Dell has that slot role, which is going to be more important than say the Gabe Davis role.
Most offenses have two outside receivers and a slot guy.
Yeah.
But who produces like that? Like if you look at Hill is the outside guy, Waddles is the slot guy, A.J. Brown is the outside guy, Devontae Smith is the slot guy. So it's usually you don't usually get the two outside guys. Like even say last year in Jacksonville. I mean I know none of them are great, but you had Ridley as the outside guy and Kirk as the slot guy. And Jacksonville is almost similar because now they have two more outside guys, right, with Ridley but we're not talking about Jacksonville yet. We'll get there. Or I'm sorry, Tennessee yet. So that's what I mean. It's like usually you don't get the two outside guys that produce at a high level. It's usually one of the outside guys and one of the slot guys. And that's where I'm interested to see. So, but does anyone see C.J. Stroud taking a step back, taking a step forward? I mean, he finished 12th last year in fantasy, I believe. I'll double bring it up right now. C.J. Stroud finished 11th last year. So, I mean,
I don't see him taking a step back.
Yeah,
I don't see him taking a step back.
Well, it's hard to take a step back. He's on the fringe.
Him taking a massive leap forward either.
Right.
Though.
Yeah. I mean, is anyone going to have C.J. Stroud in the top 5? When we did our 2 weeks ago, when we did our mock draft, somebody took C.J. Stroud as the QB 5, and I think that's a little much.
Yeah, that's high.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
Yeah. So
as a guy who doesn't typically like to draft quarterbacks before round 10, I am definitely not touching that.
Yeah.
So, and Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon is Joe Mixon. I think he's still good. I think Joe Mixon's going to be Joe Mixon on this team. He's going to be fine. He's going to finish as a top 12 to 15 running back if he gets all the work. Honestly, I do. I think he's a bit of a sleeper.
I love Mixon this year.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is the least sexy running back in fantasy, and I love that because they've already shown that Dameon Pierce, they're kind of done. They're kind of done with Dameon Pierce. So I think he's going to get all the work. I think he's going to get drafted pretty late because this is not like I said, this is not a sexy situation. There's no hype. It's just kind of that. It's Joe Mixon, and I think he's going to quietly be a draft day steal.
And a reminder to people at home: Joe Mixon finished last year in a PPR. That's actually standard. Sorry, let me use PPR. Joe Mixon in a PPR league. Well, it's the same. So Joe Mixon in a PPR league last year finished 6th overall, better than Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Tony. You know what I mean? Joe Mixon was better than all those players last year. So
just always quietly produces.
Mm-hmm.
There's just always a draft day
Most
value.
boring running back in the NFL.
No, 100%. But I mean, scored a lot of touchdowns in his career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a crazy amount of touchdowns, but enough to be fantasy relevant, and a lot of people pass on them because it's just Joe Mixon, man.
Yeah,
I'll gladly take Joe Mixon late
he's a sleeper. He's a sleeper.
I'd even take him as a running back too, or
Yeah.
if you're lucky you can get him as a
He
flex.
could be your RB1 if you go like Saints Joe did last year and took 17 receivers to start.
Yeah.
right? That would be perfect. Let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts, which is going to be the next in line here in alphabetically as well. Jay, why don't you tell me some of their key additions? Because one of those surprised me. I thought the one guy here retired.
We got Raekwon Davis, Joe Flacco, Julian Blackmon, Kenny Moore, Michael Pittman, and Trey Sermon.
Didn't Joe Flacco retire?
I don't
No.
I'm saying he retired.
He retired. Okay, well, he's there now. And then Trey Sermon is a former third-round pick from like 3 years ago. And the dude's like on his fourth team, like as a running back. Key additions of Latu, A.D. Mitchell, Matt Conglaves. Key departures, they lost my boy Gardner Minshew and Zach Moss. So their free agency grade was a C. They didn't do much. But their draft was an A. And I think the draft was an A. They got an edge rusher, and they got A.D. Mitchell, who people were talking about taking ahead of Brian Thomas. A.D. Mitchell was the number one wide receiver in Texas, even though Xavier Worthy went, but he had character flaws. So they got this guy in the second round, which I feel is an absolute steal to get him in the second round. To pair him with Michael Pittman, I think that's great. So if we're going to talk about the fantasy things, we got to start right at the top with their quarterback. I mean, I know Dave loves him. I think Adam loves him. AR is the man. Like, he is the man. He just needs to be healthy. I mean, we talked about it last year. I was simping out over him, and he delivered in his, 3 games. But, and then he got hurt a bunch of times. So you have to worry about that, of course. But still, God damn, do I love this guy.
I like Anthony Richardson, man. He's a great all-around quarterback, and this team, that's exactly what they need. And I think being a quarterback, you can kind of understand, hey, I can't put myself in danger anymore, because as we saw, without AR, they weren't as good as they could have been. So I'm hoping that his injuries kind of, knocked him in the line here, and he kind of looks at it and goes, yeah, I can't hurt my team because when I'm not on the field, I need to protect myself. I need to slide. I need to, get out of bounds when I need to. And I think the Colts are going to be a lot better this year as long as Anthony Richardson can stay healthy.
So Richardson started 4 games last year, and he got hurt in 2 of them. So the first game he got hurt, he left at just after halftime or just at halftime, and he already had 17 points, right? And then the other game he left early, it was early. He only had 4 points. But in the 2 games he played fully, he had 22 points and 29.6 points. So 22, 29.6 points in full games, 17 and a half of a game. That shows you what this man could do. So, Dave, you tell me about AR.
I mean, I don't think there's anything really that we got to discuss. I know it's a small sample size, but what we saw from him was just absolutely incredible. The points just racking up on my teams when I had him in my lineup was insane. I loved watching him play. He's my keeper in most leagues this year, and I feel very confident going into the season with AR as my quarterback.
I got lucky last year. I drafted AR to start him, and I backed him up with Dak Prescott. So I ended up getting lucky with that league.
Yeah.
But that's how high he was. I took him before Dak Prescott.
No. I mean, obviously there's going to be some risk behind it. If you take AR, I'm not usually a big fan of drafting backup QBs, but if you take AR, you might want to think about it because we know how the kid plays, and we know that there's a chance that he's probably going to get hurt at some point. But I mean, if he's healthy, man, he's in the lineup and he's a top 5 QB.
You taking him over Stroud?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Jay, your thoughts on AR?
Basically, yeah, same as everyone else. I mean, he's good. He's just got to stay healthy.
Are we all taking him over CJ Stroud?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would if I had the chance.
Are we taking him over NFL MVP? That's tough.
I mean, the fact that we're even having this conversation after 4 games
right?
says a lot about him.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I'm taking a lot of quarterbacks over Lamar Jackson, dude. My hatred for Lamar Jackson extends to just everything about him.
It's fine. I like fantasy.
I'll find fantasy points somewhere else.
All right, so we do have now we've talked about their running back. This is a fantasy relevant team, guys, because they have a bona fide first round fringe, second round running back as well, and Jonathan Taylor.
Before we bounce over, I will say Donnie Mitchell. Be on the lookout for Donnie
Oh,
Mitchell.
yeah.
Like,
We're gonna get there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get there. We're going in order of positions, but we're gonna talk
Okay.
about JT.
Okay.
JT in mock drafts is going 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th overall pick. I mean, that's where he's going in mock drafts right now. So he's probably the 4th, 5th, 6th running back coming off the board. 2 years ago, he was the number 1 running back off the board. The year before that, he led the league in rushing, and the year before that, he was like 6th overall or something. So the guy has had fantastic seasons in the past. Then the injury got him. His year, he was supposed to be number 1. So, and then he held out or something last year, was hurt, but whatever. He didn't. Yeah, he didn't produce like you said. But people are starting to draft him as he's back. And I mean, this is a guy that's still young, has done it before, and now has his contract. So what, Dave, do we have to fear about Jonathan Taylor?
I mean, no surprise here. I'm not. You guys know I don't like Jonathan
Yeah, you
Taylor.
don't like him.
I don't like him. I just don't like him. I understand he puts up points. I think he's getting drafted too high because what we have not seen is Jonathan Taylor fit into this offense with a very mobile quarterback that likes to take off.
He had Gardner Minshew, bud.
Yeah, so we haven't seen Jonathan Taylor in an offense with a quarterback that has wheels that likes to take off. I don't know. I think people should kind of temper their expectations. Do I think he's going to be a good running back? I do. Do I think he's going to finish in the top 10? I do think he probably has a great chance to crack the top 10. Top 5, top 6, I don't know. Maybe that's pushing it.
Jonathan Taylor, I think, was better than people realized last year. And the reason I say that is he missed, because I knew he missed games. So he missed the first 4 games, and then he missed 3 games in the middle of the season. And then, mind you, Zach Moss was playing well, and they were splitting with both of them, remember? So, and so, mind you, all those games that Jonathan Taylor missed, he finished 28th, just outside being an RB2, with missing 7 games. So even though he missed 7 games, he was better than Devin Singletary, Jalen Warren, Austin Eckler, Javonte Williams. I mean, these are guys that people were starting. Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, missed some times, you know. But you see what I'm saying here? Like, he missing 17 games. So what he 7 games. What he ended up with per game was 13.7 points, which isn't bad by any means, and that's standard. So actually, it's probably higher, but we're talking standard. So since I'm here right now, so just looking around him from where I was, where was he? 28. So looking around him, he had better points per game than everyone above him for 8 spots. So he had 13.7 points a game. This is standard, and if he would have to go up to 21 to beat out Devin Achane. But if you stake out Devin Achane, who was explosive, he's all the way up at like James Conner at 15. So he had a pretty good season, and I don't know. We'll switch it to PPR just to see if it changed much. He was 28 in standard, and it shouldn't change too much. Where is he? Sorry, he's 33 in PPR, so just a little lower, nothing too big. But that's what I'm saying about him. And so in a PPR league, he had 15.6 points a game. And the same thing, got to go up to Devin Achane, and other than that, up to James Conner. So he did pretty well last year when he was healthy. And we just got to see where he goes, how the offense is going to change. But I like him. I mean, I have him in the Fantasy Football Bros League. He was like a 7th-round pick for me. He's going to be a keeper because he's getting drafted in the 1st or 2nd round. So I like him, and I think people are going to remember his name by the end of the season because they're kind of sleeping on him. So anybody want anything to say about JT?
I'm good on JT. I
him.
just think he's getting drafted too high.
Okay.
You can have him.
Sure.
I don't have any
Let's win.
intention on drafting him at all. So it's all yours, but
I'll take him. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
I like fantasy points, so I'll take Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor. I'd love to start a team with those guys. That'd be awesome.
Have at it.
No problem. Okay, so we're gonna then move on to the receivers. A.D. Mitchell was a steal. I think everybody loves Michael Pittman.
I'm
And
a
he's-
big Michael Pittman
yeah.
fan.
Yep.
He produced like crazy
Yep.
last year.
I,
With and without AR. So
Yeah, I'm a trade whore, and I tried to trade for Michael Pittman in all my leagues.
yeah, so
I love the guy. He's a big body. He's got that contested catch radius. It's just he's just a solid receiver.
I think he's a top talent in the league. So, and he's getting drafted in like the start of the third ish, around like Devontae Smith and Mike Evans, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but just right around there. So, see a lot of second options on teams and stuff.
I mean, that's probably I would say that's probably a fair placement for Michael Pittman. Wouldn't take him any higher than that. If he goes lower, people are dumb.
And he did finish 13th overall last year. So he had a great
So he's
season.
in the top 15. I think Michael Pittman's a great receiver. I think people have been sleeping on him for a little while.
I mean, yeah, he finished 13th.
Yeah.
And he got to play 4 of those, basically 3 of those games with Anthony Richardson.
And he was great in the 4 games he played with AR, I don't remember, but the first game of the season he played with him, he had 24 points. The second game he had 14. The third game he had 16, 17, about 17. And then that fourth game he had 4, but I think that's when AR went out. So he did pretty, decent with AR, and then he did fantastic without AR. So,
yeah. So, I like Michael Pittman this year. I like Mitchell too. I think we've talked about this before. I think the Colts have been searching for that wide receiver too for I don't even know maybe 15 years now.
Yeah.
But I think Mitchell is one of the rookies that's going to come in and make an immediate impact.
I do. I like Mitchell. I think he should be one of the higher owned rookies. I'm probably taking A.D. Mitchell over Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, Brian Thomas probably as well. Like Keon Coleman. I mean, he might be my 4th rookie receiver. He might be my 3rd rookie receiver because I don't know about Odunze. Odunze's the 3rd option there. This guy's the 2nd option, right? So,
right.
So that's you. What about you two? I mean, I know Adam doesn't like him. He's a rookie. So, what about you, Jay?
No, I like him. I think he's probably going to be pretty good in this offense as long as AR can stay healthy.
And I think he'll still be good even without AR because they got Joe Flacco, who's the best quarterback ever. I mean, he was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He's the NFL Comeback Player of the Year over a guy who died. So,
I don't want to be this guy, but like if you're going to be a comeback player, you have to be a player that touches the field.
I agree.
I'm sorry, Damar. I'm sorry. I love you.
Canceled.
I love you, dude. But like,
goddamn, Alex Smith came back from a broken leg and took a snap and kneeled the ball and won Comeback Player of the Year. Fucking Damar Hamlin has a crucial play in the AFC divisional game. It was a bad play, but it was still a crucial play.
Alex Smith did not play in the season when Joe Flacco came off his couch and took the Browns to the fucking playoffs.
That is very true. Very, very true. All right, and then their tight ends. I don't fucking care, right? Who was it? I
don't even know. Is it still Mo Alley Cox?
Sure. We'll just say. Oh, it's Dallas Clark, right?
Sure. Yeah, he came out of retirement about 7 years ago.
Okay. All right. Anything to say about the Colts? Moving on.
Nah, I'm
Moving on.
We got to move on because we spent a lot of time on fucking Houston. So I think these are all in alphabetical order because next is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not really excited to talk about this team, so we'll probably fly through this. They brought in big game Gabe Davis. They brought in Mitch Morse. I won't give him the fart. Ronald Darby. What is this? The Bills? Josh Allen. D. Ernest Johnson. They drafted Brian Thomas Jr. and they lost Calvin Ridley. That's all we really have to talk about. Free agency gave him a C. Draft grade gave him a B-. Brian Thomas Jr. We'll see. I mean, I was sketchy on him. A lot of people had the Bills taking him. He was the number 2 option on his own team, and now he's the. Is he? Who's the number 1 receiver here? Is it Christian Kirk or is it Thomas?
It's Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Christian Kirk.
Yeah, it's Christian Kirk. I don't think
That's
I
not
know
even
people are putting
debate.
that discussion out there. I don't think it's up for
And
discussion.
your number
Is
2
it Gabe
is
Davis?
And your number 3 is Brian Thomas. Because I don't
See, I
know any
actually
other
think Brian
receivers.
Brian
Thomas
Thomas
is
is
the
going to
number
be the number 2.
Yeah, I think Brian Thomas is the number 2 on this team.
Yeah, Gabe Davis sucks.
I'm not disagreeing.
Um,
To start the
That's
season,
not what
Gabe
that's not what you
Davis
and
is
Adam
gonna be
said
their-
last year.
Well, Adam was salty when I drafted him that once. I
did.
remember.
Yeah, we had to edit it out of
I think that was 2 years ago.
that episode.
So
It
how do we
was
feel
weird.
about Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence, the most wealthy player in the NFL's history. You know, he hasn't been awful, hasn't been great. So like, you know, is it time for him to take that next step? I mean, guys won games. The guy, you know,
How
they've been
many
in the
next
playoffs,
steps
close to the playoffs.
is this guy going to have to take? Because he's
This is
been
going
in
to
the
his
league.
4th year, right?
I
It's
have
going
no
into his
idea.
4th year, and I think we all agreed a couple of years ago to just wash out his first year with Urban Meyer, but this is going into his 4th year, I believe, and then because 4, yeah, because Burrow was 2020, he was 2021, yeah, so he's going into his 4th year. I know it feels like he's been in the league 7 years, but he hasn't.
It
And
really
one of
does.
those and one of those years was with Urban Meyer, so with that one. So, you know, he let a lot of people down last year. And, you know, I think he's a steal in fantasy drafts if he plays better because he's getting drafted as a backup. So like if you do what like Dave said and take AR and then take Trevor Lawrence later, you might have a trade asset on your team because he might be much better. I mean, who knows? I mean, he's got the talent. Huge arm, accurate guy. Can he put it together now? Now is the time. I'm not putting him probably in my top 12, but he's a high end like QB2 for me. I mean, we're going to do our rankings soon. He's probably going to be around 12, 13, 14, or 13, 14, 15, right around there. You know, like you can do a lot worse as a backup quarterback that you're hoping to be successful. So, but I know I don't think any of you like Trevor Lawrence.
I had Trevor Lawrence last year, and I don't want to I am salty on him, but I think where he is getting drafted and getting ranked right now is probably just where he should be from now on. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it, we're always saying like he's got a bunch of talent, highest recruited or highest touted draft, like blah 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 blah. Like when he's Trevor Lawrence is the Kyle Pitts of quarterbacks. It's just like when are we gonna see this lights out performance? You know what I mean? I think like unfortunately we've seen who Trevor Lawrence is, and he's just kind of a mid quarterback. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but like he just is who he is. You know what I mean?
I'll put it in a little perspective for his fantasy finish last year. He finished 13th and missed one game. So probably a top 12 quarterback finish last year if he doesn't miss that one game because he only missed it by a point. So he would have been a top 12 quarterback had he missed the one game. So, but the bottom of the top 12, of course. But like, he can take a step up because the year before he finished 8th. So he had a pretty good year the year before. It's 2022. He finished better than Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, people that are going ahead of him. Well, I don't think Goff's going ahead of him. But he finished better than Tua that year. So, yeah, he had a bit of a down year. It was a disappointment, but he showed he could be a top 10 quarterback before.
If the pattern continues, he is due for a good season this year. That year one was kind of, this flat line, and then year 2 was a little higher, and then year 3 kind of dipped back down, and I really hope that's not his, trajectory, but I don't know. Trevor Lawrence is a tough one for me to want to have on my team.
Yeah.
He had Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram was thrown in there. Like, you should be better.
Yeah.
ATN. I mean, don't
And
forget about
ETN,
Etienne. He's a great pass catching running back.
He had a great season last year, and
Yep.
it's like you
just-
have these great pieces around you, and you've added to your offensive line. I think Mitch Morris is a great center. He's got to stay healthy because he's got concussion issues. So hopefully that helps a little bit, and if he can stay healthy, but Trevor Lawrence, man, he's just.
How about this statement?
what
I
people
am
are
not
like-
gonna.
Go ahead.
This is my statement. I'm not going to rank it this way, but I would be not surprised if Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year. I was planning on him last year jumping up to like 5. So to say that he finishes 10th, I don't think is an insane stretch.
No, I don't think top 10 is an insane stretch either, but I'm the type of I'm just tired of hearing, when these players come in, it's like, when are they going to take that step? When are they going to be great? When are they going to do this? When are they going to do that? Well, listen, NFL doesn't wait for you. Like you're either it or you're not. And if you're not, they're moving on. So
Well, they're not moving on from him. They just
they
gave him the
can't.
most money ever.
Contract, but
So, the money talks sometimes. I mean, they just gave him the biggest contract ever. So, just keep that in mind too when you're going into that. But I don't think any of us are looking at him as a starter, right? No.
No.
And then-
I'm not drafting
like I said,
Trevor
he's
Lawrence
kind
as
of
my starter.
Yeah, no.
He's just kind of a mid-range quarterback. I mean, there's a chance he finishes in the top 10, but there's a chance that like a lot of guys finish in the top 10 because you have your top 5 quarterbacks, and then this last 5 through 12, it's just always kind of a revolving door of fluctuating. It's like, oh, Baker Mayfield made it this year. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like these guys.
Sam Howell.
Yeah, Sam Howell. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
it's a rotating door. So. Is there a chance that Trevor Lawrence cracks the top 10? Yeah, of course. If
Sure.
you're going into your draft with Trevor Lawrence as your starting quarterback, do you feel great about it? I don't think you should.
I don't.
Sure. Right, exactly.
Certainly don't.
Right.
Now, here's a guy I'm interested to talk about because for some reason I'm not excited about ETN. It doesn't mean I don't think he's good. It doesn't mean I won't draft him at the right value. But, I just whenever I do a mock draft and I see him there, I'm always like, there's somebody better. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's just my feeling with him. He's another guy that I feel should be way better at catching the ball, and he hasn't been. And he had a great year last year. He finished 3rd, and surprising to me. But again, I look at him in this draft, even though this guy finished 3rd. Mind you, Raheem Mostert finished 2nd, and that guy's getting drafted in the 6th round. Travis Etienne's coming up in the 3rd round, 2nd round, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably on an island for that.
I think you are. I mean, and ATN is one of those dudes where it's like, I've looked for reasons to not like him because I don't know. It just feels like I shouldn't trust him. But every year he kind of proves that wrong. You know what I mean?
This is ETN's 3rd year, mind you.
Yes. Well, yes.
3rd year.
I mean,
I feel like all Jacksonville, it's like they just been in the league forever. It's weird, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, I feel like everybody's been there for 8 years.
Right. They're still young. They're a young team.
I know.
Absolutely. So,
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
Well,
you're good. I'm just
my
saying
thing.
every time I pass on ATN, I'm just you watch him have those 40-point games, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem I'm having with the ETN's numbers, and that they're a little inflated for certain reasons. Remember, you got to keep things into perspective. His game last year, he had more carries and less yardage than the year before. He only averaged 3.8 yards a carry. Okay, he had 58 receptions, and that's great in the 476 yards. But he had 12 touchdowns. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He had 12 touchdowns last year. He only has 17 touchdowns his whole career. So first year he had 5, second year he had 12. Is that going to continue? His numbers were really inflated. So his average of rushing was awful, but the touchdowns inflated. I think maybe that's where I'm a little scared that is he going to get 12 touchdowns again? Can you rely on him to get 12 touchdowns again? I mean, that's asking a lot So he's got to be more proficient running the ball, more efficient running the ball, get a better average, and then I feel I'd break that more excited about him. But again, I'm not saying he sucks. He's gonna be in my top probably 12 when I do the rankings, and I will take him, with the price is right. But I'm interested to see where he lands in my rankings as opposed to you guys when that time comes. So, Jay, what do you think about him?
Basically what everyone else has kind of been saying. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he's going to have another 12 touchdown year, so.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, so you kind of sound like you're almost with me where, like, he's there, you'll take him, but you're not gunning for, is anyone gunning for Travis Etienne?
No, I'm not.
Listen, this is a crazy stat that I'm looking at for Etienne. Last season, how many games over 100 yards do you think he had?
It doesn't feel like a lot. He only had 1,000 yards, so like 0?
He had 2 games over 100 yards.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he only had 1,000 yards. So
I think
that's
pretty wild for a running back that I feel like that they leaned on pretty heavily.
But they didn't. Well, I guess they did. He had 267 carries.
I mean,
but he didn't,
267 carries that's a lot for a running back.
But he didn't even average 4 yards a carry, and that's what brings it down.
Right, and I agree with that, but with adding the 58 receptions too, so he's touching the ball over 300 times a season. That's pretty good for a running back.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
I don't know. That is a weird thing for me to look at right now. That I feel like they relied on him a little bit, and then he didn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, like he did fine. He finished third in standard, and in PPR he finished third. So he's finished third. But it's just I don't know. What about, okay, I know Jay's man crush. Let's talk about, you can start with him, Jay. Evan Ingram. He finished second last year. He finished better than Travis Kelce. Where are you putting him off the top of your head in your rankings? Is he going, first, second, third for you? Is he going ahead of Kelce? Or who are you taking first, Jay? Out of those.
I don't think he's going to be above Kelce, but I think for me, Ingram's definitely in the top 5.
The 5? Okay, so you're wanting to do 3?
I could probably be persuaded, but I don't know. I just it's scary on if he can repeat the same performance as last year, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And he is my guy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's very scary. I don't have much to say about him. I mean, I'll probably have him in the top 5, right? Sure. I'm really not excited about a lot of tight ends. He might be 6. For me, it depends. I mean, McBride's going to be up there. Dalton Schultz is going to be up there. Laporta, Travis Kelce. So we'll see. Is anyone, any high or low on this guy?
I'm way lower.
Oh, and don't forget about Mark Andrews.
Not way lower, but Andrews is coming back. You still got Kittle, Hawkinson.
He'll be out a while.
You mentioned Laporta. But
don't put Hawkinson up there. Adam and people at home. He tore his ACL week 17. So Hawkinson don't.
Was it that late?
It was week 16. Sorry, week 16. Yeah. So don't. Hawkinson's out. But yeah, so nothing from you, Dave.
Either way, there's still 5 tight ends better.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to push for him.
Okay, that's fair. Let's move on because we are an hour in and we didn't even get to the NFC yet.
I know. You were just like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Jags. You spent 20 minutes on the Jags.
Well, we needed to talk about. No, it's time to tighten up, baby. So we're going to go to our reporter on the scene all the way down in Nashville, Tennessee. We have the no nickname, no nonsense, Adam Van Houten, live on the scene. Adam, how is the football feeling in Tennessee right now? Are we buzzing? Are we rebuilding?
Dude,
what do the people there feel like?
Let me tell you that the buzz is through the roof about signing Calvin Ridley and having DeAndre Hopkins and still Chiggy Okonkwo still there and signing Tony Pollard. Everybody's like, oh my god. In my office I work, of course most people are from Tennessee and they are just so hyped for this team this year. But
And just
I mean, it really all just doesn't. It comes down to Will Levis, man. I don't think Will Levis is very good.
that's what I was gonna say, and I just wanted to. You mentioned a lot of people. You didn't mention the quarterback though.
Oh, I was getting there.
Okay. Okay.
But these people down here, man, they're all delusional, dude. They have just the highest hopes for Will Levis this year, and I just can't see it happening and working out for them, and they're just going to be disappointed again. They got rid of King Henry. He moved on to Baltimore, and signing Tony Pollard, who didn't really have that great of a season last year.
Tajay Spears.
And Tajay Spears is still there. But everything is just going to come down to Will Levis.
Well, Will Levis, folks at home, you're not drafting. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. You pick him up later. Those running backs, I'm split on them. They're probably going to be 3 picks away from each other because nobody knows who's going to be the man.
They love Tajay Spears down here.
Yeah.
If you're going to draft a running back from Tennessee, I would look at him.
I'm with you there. I think I'm going to have Spears higher. Nobody really cares about the tight end. We got to talk about the receivers. But one note I want to talk about Will Levis real quick is he's got it now. He's got 2 great receivers and a 3rd promising guy if he can ever get his shit together. Decent tight end. He's got 2 pass catching running backs. He's got it now. He's not a rookie anymore. He's got no excuses now.
Here's the thing with Treylon Burks. They have Tyler Boyd now.
Yeah, they got Boyd too.
I would put Boyd over Treylon Burks all day long.
But, dude, Burks is your 4th. You've got weapons. And Levis has got the big arm to hit that speed.
Here's what I think about when I think about Will Levis, right? For a quarterback to make a leap, right, it's correct. You're not wrong there. Will Levis sucks, okay? We get that. But, you have these quarterbacks that come in the league, right? They play really well, and then they take a little step forward, right? They play better, and then they keep going, right? Will Levis was here. His step is, here. So that gap that he needs to be better is so big and so great this year that I just don't see it happening for them. I see them finishing 4th in the division.
Okay.
And I'll be very shocked if it's any higher than that.
So, Jay, out of those 2 receivers, the 2 main ones, which one are you taking first, Nuke or Calvin? You have a little salty towards Calvin, I think.
I'd take Calvin Ridley over Nuke.
They're both older, too, though, mind you, folks at home.
Same age.
I mean, are they the same age? Calvin Ridley was drafted in 2018. Nuke was drafted in 2014.
Ridley's 31, dude.
Ridley was older. Ridley was older when he was drafted, but they're 4 years apart in draft. So, clear that up for us. But I think I'm taking Ridley first anyway. But of course we got to ask Nuki down there what he's feeling.
Do you have to ask? You don't have to ask.
You're taking Nuke over Ridley.
Taking Nuke.
Oh my god!
You knew that was coming, bro. Come on.
What did Ridley do last year?
What did Nuke do last year?
What did Ridley do last year?
Ridley started hot.
I'm not saying what did Ridley do? It's a legitimate question. Do we have their stats? What are their stats from last season?
I'll bring up their fantasy.
Yeah, bring up their fantasy stats.
I know Nuke was 22. Nuke finished 22. I bet you Ridley's right around him.
Yeah, they're right around.
DeAndre Hopkins is 32.
And then what? Is? So yeah, Hopkins is 32, probably.
I believe Calvin Ridley is 31. Calvin Ridley's 29. He'll be 30 this season. So there's
okay. So
2.5
I knew there's a couple of years. All right, so Nuke finished 22, and and Ridley finished 18th.
Okay, so
Ridley finished 18th. I felt like he was worse than that. That surprised me. Ridley was better than Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper last year. What the fuck?
Where did Ridley finish?
18th.
So Ridley finishes 18th. Nuke finishes 22. Nuke's already got the rapport with Levis. I mean, Ridley finished 18th with Trevor Lawrence, who is definitely a better quarterback. He's coming into a new system. The numbers wise, they're basically the same guy, but I think there's more upside to Nuke just because he knows the system. He has a rapport with Will Levis.
He has his AARP card.
They're both the same age, bro.
No, that one's 29, one's going to be 33, right? Did we say?
Nuke
There's a little.
Nuke is 32.
Nuke's older than
Nuke's 32.
Ridley's 29.
Here's the numbers. Okay. Calvin Ridley had 136 targets. DeAndre Hopkins had 137 targets.
Got him.
Yeah, by one target. Which Hopkins had 75 receptions, Ridley had 76.
Got him.
Ridley had 1,016 yards. Hopkins had 1,057.
Wow, they're so close. Oh my
So
God.
close.
They're the same fucking guy, man. It's
Ridley had eight touchdowns. Hopkins had 7.
Wow.
And per reception, Hopkins was 14.1 and Ridley was 13.
Right.
So they're the same guy.
They're the same
So
guy.
they're virtually the same person last year.
And D-Hop is the number one. He was the number one last year. I don't think he's gonna get dethroned from a guy coming in that's the same fucking guy.
Did you say deep throat?
Listen, you said I'm getting us canceled. You're fucking getting us canceled, bro. But all I'm saying is that Nuke has a rapport with Levis already, and they're the same fucking guy. And Ridley did it with arguably a way better quarterback. So I mean, he's coming into a worse quarterback situation. So I don't see him getting magnificently better.
Okay, fair enough. And all right, guys, who wins the division? I'll go with you, Jay. Who's winning the division? It's not your official, remember, but
Colts.
I'm with Jay. Colts. This is like the way the Colts are built. They were almost there last year. AR being healthy. I'm going to go with the Colts. What about you guys?
I'm on the fence on this one.
It's always been the Colts. If AR goes down, though, it's going to be the Texans.
Yep, agreed.
And then Adam's going with the Titans, right?
Yeah, totally. I literally just said they're going to finish 4th in the division.
So we're all saying Colts, and you didn't officially say Adam.
I could say Houston, and I really want to say the Colts. I'm only going with Houston because they won it last year.
Okay.
With the team that they have now.
Okay.
And the Colts are getting healthy, and
we also got to remember that both of these rookie quarterbacks could take a step back, right? We're depending on these rookies to just continue to be awesome. They could have second-year woes. So, there's 3 rookie quarterbacks last year because of Levis too. So, they could take a step back too. Not necessarily all take a step forward. So that's something you got to look out for at home too. So,
for sure.
Agreed.
All right, we'll fly through the NFC, guys, because this NFC division sucks. I mean, it's rough. We argued last year over the Falcons and the Saints, and we were all wrong because the Buccaneers won it. And I don't know what we're going to talk about on some of these teams. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about Bijan Robinson, blah, 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 and Chris Olave.
You're going to talk about Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
I'll take him, no problem. So you've got the craziness of the Atlanta Falcons bringing in Kirk Cousins and then drafting Michael Penix, which is just wild. Just wild, wild, wild. And Rondell Moore they brought in as a 3. So their free agency tracker gave him an A, but their draft...
Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney. And
too.
Rondell Moore.
Yep. So they loaded up on receivers. I didn't even see that. I passed that. And they drafted a D. Bringing in all those receivers, man. Are they going to throw the ball like crazy, huh?
They got Kirk Cousins now.
Do we care about Kirk Cousins? Is he going to be a starter in fantasy football? I don't think so.
I've always thought Kirk Cousins was a starter in fantasy football.
He's not going to be a starter for me. He's not going to be in the top 12 for me. I just can't see him there. Maybe I didn't do my rankings yet, though, but come on. I can't see him there. What about Dave? I mean, do you think he's going to be starting?
He's another one of those dudes. Could he crack the top 10? Yeah. Do I feel great with Kirk Cousins as my quarterback? No.
Yeah.
So
it's
whatever. If we're gonna be 100% honest, and I'll save you some time on me. I'm actually I'm a fan of Bijan this year. I like Bijan this year. I'm drafting Bijan high. The rest of this team can fucking kick rocks. I want nothing to do with none of them. It's Bijan or bust. If Bijan's gone, Atlanta's dead to me.
What scares me about not necessarily Bijan, because I think Bijan's going to be fine. I think Bijan's going to probably lead the league in rushing attempts, but maybe not because Arthur Smith is gone. But they have who's their head coach, by the way? Who did they bring in? It's a defensive guy, right?
Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris. So that brings me back in line with Bijan because I got a defensive guy who likes to run the ball and play good defense. But they brought in all those receivers. They spent all that money on Kirk and draft another quarterback. Are they going to throw the ball? Like, maybe. Because if you're looking at some of these drafts, like Drake London, who I'm a big fan of, is going like in the second round. Drake London is going in the second round for fantasy drafts. No, I cannot see that. Like, I think he's got all the talent in the world, but no way. No way. Absolutely not for me. No way. Way too high. You guys got to all agree with that. Come on.
I told you this whole team can kick rocks. I mean, these guys are bums, and they're getting drafted. Like, Kirk Cousins coming to this team is inflating the value on all of these guys. Insane. And
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I don't understand why.
he's,
I really
he's 35 with a torn Achilles. We have no idea if he's even going to be any good.
Especially
And then, of course,
Kyle Pitts.
go on.
This is his year, boys.
Well, I was saying, of course, Kyle Pitts. You guys hate him. He's
Fuck Kyle
not getting
Pitts.
drafted high now. Now he's getting drafted like 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah, because people have smartened up and stopped listening to you and Adam and be like, "Oh, this is the year for Kyle Pitts for the last
I've
4
never said
fucking years."
Kyle Pitts was going to be good ever. Don't put words in my mouth,
But he's-
Jay.
But he's got a quarterback now, right? So like, who knows?
He's not going to be good.
So,
Agreed.
I don't. I mean, I think he's great. I mean, Bijan is going to be great. I can't wait to laugh at you guys. And then Adam's going to go, so I don't care. I don't care. Bijan Robinson just drafted 27,000 yards this season. He still sucks. That's what
Hey,
Adam.
I never said Bijan
If-
sucked.
If Kyle
I
Pitts
said I was
does
leery on
good
him
finally,
being a rookie. That's all
I will give
said.
you a pat on the back for being right for the first time in his entire career.
No, Kyle Pitts, I'm mid on. I'm not putting Kyle Pitts.
No,
Idiot.
fuck no. I was making a
Can
joke
we-
in case you didn't sense the sarcasm in my voice.
No jokes. There's not any joke.
Can we
This is
just
fucking money.
all agree as a fantasy community that if Kyle Pitts doesn't figure it out this year, that we're just fucking done mentioning his name? Can we
He'll
just
never be.
stop mentioning his name for the
No.
rest of time?
He'll never be. And the reason that is, as long as he's playing football, he'll always be like a top 10 drafted fantasy option just because of the fucking position. Like, if you look at who finished top 10 last year, Taysom Hill was 7. Cole Kmet was 8. Jake Ferguson was 9. Okay, but nobody knew who the fuck that was coming into the season. Trey McBride, nobody knew who the fuck that was coming into the season.
Championship team, Jake Ferguson.
But you see what I'm saying though? But that's why like Kyle Pitts will always have that because like there's just like nobody is going to draft Taysom Hill ahead of Kyle Pitts. You know what I mean? Like it's just not going to happen. T.J. Hawkinson's not going to get drafted before Kyle Pitts. He's not playing till half the season. I don't know about Cole Kmet, maybe. Trey McBride's going to be a top three receiver. Is somebody going to draft Dalton Schultz before Kyle Pitts with all of his competition, right? So, like, Kyle Pitts is always going to be a top 10 pick. But that's what's going to be better for him because, like, instead of drafting him as the second or third tight end and him finishing 10th, now you're drafting him as, like, the 8th tight end that could finish second. But if he finishes 10th, you won't be as mad, right? So that's why it's like better for him in moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be as high on him. And Dave's right. Bijan, I mean, to get rid of Arthur Smith is so enlightening for this kid. The guy with Arthur Smith still finished top 12 running back last year. We all laughed about how awful Arthur Smith was. He's gone. He's got a defensive head coach. He's got a defensive head coach that's going to pound the rock. Who's he going to pound the rock with? Hopefully Bijan, and not Algier. Hopefully he's smart enough to see that. Or Cordell Patterson.
We'll find out. No, he's gone.
So it's interesting, though. I can see why some of these guys are ranked higher because of Cousins, but I don't know. All right, we will move on to the next team in our list, which will be who is
Carolina
it?
Panthers.
Ugh.
Did I pass them? I did pass them because I don't want to fucking talk about them. All right, we'll move through them quick. Carolina Panthers and draft Deontay Johnson, right?
Yeah, they got Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
They drafted
Draft-
Leggett,
draft-
Jonathan Brooks.
They
Draft
got Clowney,
Deontay.
Deontay Johnson, and that's about it. And then
Our boy Adam
Xavier
Thielen.
Leggett, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, draft. Okay, so the guys that are going to get drafted are Deontay Johnson and Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks was the first running back drafted this year. Okay, like obviously he's going to find his way on fantasy rosters because you never know. He's a rookie. He's got to fight out Chuba Hubbard. Shouldn't be that hard. Maybe it is. Who the fuck knows? Obviously, you're drafting Jonathan Brooks in the mid round somewhere, and he could be this year's, I don't know, Rashad White. Who knows? But but the same thing with Deontay Johnson. Like, who's the earliest? Who's going to be the earliest drafted Carolina Panthers? Jonathan Brooks in like the 7th
Adam
round.
Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, Adam Thielen.
Before the 7th round, probably not. You're probably doing Jonathan Brooks in the 7th, and then Thielen in like the 8th. Do we think Thielen's going to get drafted before Deontay Johnson? I don't. I think Johnson's going to get drafted first.
I think off numbers alone and Deontay Johnson's history, I think Thielen's going to go first.
You think Thielen's going to go first? Okay. Yeah, I think Deontay's going to go first.
That just,
New blood
that just
there,
comes
but
down
whatever.
to
I mean, they're,
rapport with, Bryce Young. He's been there a year already.
Nobody's drafting
Deontay
Bryce
Johnson
Young.
is new. No, I'm not drafting
Nobody's
Bryce
drafting
Young.
Bryce
I'm
Young.
saying. I'm just saying in general. He's another one. He's another one of those guys that had that rookie year, right? The next step is here for
Could happen.
Bryce Young.
I mean, it could
Sure, it
happen.
could.
Yeah.
Sure, it could happen with anybody.
We can't
But-
bury these guys just because they had a bad rookie year. Got to give them another year. I mean, Josh Allen had a bad rookie year, right? So, gotta give him a year. I'm interested to see Deontay Johnson bounce back because that guy was a perennial PPR guy, like top 10 to 12 guy, until they drafted Kenny Pickett, and then he wasn't anymore. So
He just fell off a cliff.
yeah. So I'm interested to see what happens, him coming back, because Thielen finished 30th overall last year, which probably surprises you guys that you probably thought he was better, but he finished 30th.
No, I mean he had a really bad second half of the season. He
Oh, I'm
started
sorry.
hot.
Again, that was standard. I don't know why it always fucking resets. It's actually probably worse than PPR, to be honest. No, actually much better. 17th in PPR. So there we go. That's what I thought. I thought he would have been in the top like 20. So 17th in PPR. Better than Calvin Ridley. So, all right, who cares? Moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, please.
This team is a fantasy cesspool.
Yeah, fantasy cesspool, but don't forget about Jonathan Brooks, guys. And don't forget about Deontay Johnson either. I think they could get you some numbers. All right, where are we moving, Jay?
Saints.
Oh, Saints Joe, it's time, your time, and you're not in the chat for once. New Orleans Saints. I think this is another fantasy cesspool, to be honest. I am not buying in to Chris Olave in the second round again. I just can't do it. Like, why? Why? He's been so fine, above mid. Yeah, I wouldn't call him mid. But he's I don't know. I was expecting him to tear it up last year, and he finished 16th.
Guys,
What?
their key addition. Quarterback Nathan Peterman. We'll start a game
Oh,
in
boy.
2024. 2025 season.
I hate this team. I'm not taking Olave where he's getting drafted. I'm not take. I mean, I'll take. I mean, I like Kamara, of course, but I mean, he's getting old. They lost Jameis, who I thought was their better quarterback.
Yeah. I thought he would have had the starting job for sure.
Who are they starting at quarterback? Is it going to be Spencer Rattler?
Don't they still have Derek Carr?
Man, great, awesome.
They got Nathan Peterman.
I mean, there's your answer. I said Nathan Peterman, key addition.
Is Michael Thomas going to sign anywhere? By the way,
No.
No.
I
He's in the
doubt it.
graveyard.
Yeah, they got no number 2 option.
He'll sign with the playoff team that has a wide receiver injury late.
Okay. Sorry, Saints Joe. I don't feel it for your guys this year.
Olave, sure, later, not second round.
Like mid-third, sure.
Mid-third.
Like
fourth,
6. He finished
sure.
16 last year. I'll be comfortable with him as my 16th receiver, but he's going to be put in as a top 10 probably for most rankings, and no, I can't. I can't.
And
do it.
then Kamara's really their only other fantasy relevant guy.
Yeah, for sure. And their defense is pretty good. So,
Sure.
but Kamara's getting old. Do we need, Well, we'll see. All
That
right.
was Derrick Henry, but people still love him. So
Well, they're different animals. They're different.
I don't disagree.
They're
I'm
different
just
animals.
saying, you keep bringing up the old thing. So Derrick
Well,
Henry's old too.
To be fair to Kamara, he's the same draft class, same age as Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon, and we raved about those guys, right? So, be fair to Kamara, he's not that old. So,
And this team is just gonna, like you said, there's no wide receiver 2 here, and if Olave doesn't perform and gets bottled up, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kamara touches the ball like 500 times, 400 times this season, easy. 400 times. I would not be surprised if he touches the ball 400 times. It's like he's the only thing they got.
Yeah.
all right, fair enough. And let's move in. We rushed through this. Sorry, the NFC South sucks, though. We're moving on to the defending champs of the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got Baker back. They brought back Levante David. They brought in Randy Gregory. They lost
Mike
Shaq
Evans,
Re-signed,
Winfield.
They resigned, yep. So they got the weapons. Rashad White was a top 5 fantasy running back last year in PPR. 4.
Beast.
Like, he was great in PPR last year.
Dude,
And he
beast.
even his rookie year, I rode him to a championship. He was my running back 2 in his rookie year. And then this year he finished 4th. So I was even lower on him than I should have been last year. So he's draftable. You're taking him 3rd, 4th round, 4th, 5th maybe. Mike Evans is going to be up there. I think Chris Godwin's being slept on. We said this about Mike Evans last year. But last year Mike Evans was getting slept on, and he turned out great. Now everyone's all high on Mike Evans, and I think Chris Godwin's getting swept on now. So Baker shows he'll get him the ball. So I'm excited to get either one. But is anyone I know we're all excited about them, but is anyone excited about Baker?
I liked Baker Mayfield coming out. I think he's just been thrown in some really bad situations. This is the best situation that he's ever had.
He also likes to throw into coverage.
Sure, so does
Yeah,
anyone.
but he's got swagger when he's doing it.
Swag, yeah.
He definitely's got swag. But when you got Mike Evans on the outside, Mike Evans is an animal. I love Mike Evans. He's been my fantasy crush for a long time.
Well, I know he's your fantasy crush. I know we all like him. Are we getting afraid of his age now? This is going to be his 11th season. He's older than Steph
and it's
Diggs.
going to be his 11th season with 1,000
Sure.
yards.
Yeah, he's never not done it until I have a season where Mike Evans doesn't do it. I'm just gonna assume that he's gonna do it.
Well, just to put in perspective where Mike Evans is on the scale of receivers age-wise, he was the
30.
same. He was the same draft though. He's been in the league this long as Sammy Watkins, Kelvin Benjamin, OBJ. So like he's old too, right? He's not young
30.
buck, but he was great last year.
No, he's 30.
Right, but this is his 11th NFL season, right? So, like, an old guy. He's been playing forever, and maybe he takes a step back. I mean, I don't think so. I'm not going to, but I'm not putting him in my top 10 or anything like that. I don't know. Where did he finish last year? Let's find that out for people at home. He finished, it's got to be close to the top 10.
Inside the top 15, you had to have.
Let's see here. Not top 10. Did I miss him? Oh, I lied. 7. Yep, 7.
7?
He split DJ Moore and Keenan Allen.
No.
Is where
They're-
he
He had,
I'm gonna be
he had
honest.
13 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, again, we talked about that earlier. Is that sustainable?
I'm
What are you
gonna be
saying,
honest, dude. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers is like my favorite fantasy team. Like because this team just constantly gets slept on, and the value for these players, it's just I don't understand. I don't understand why these guys drop so far all the time. Rashad White, a top 5 running back. You said he finished 4th, right?
4th, yep.
Getting drafted in the 5th round, like that never happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like that never happens.
I mean,
Mike Evans.
Where
in
was
the
Mike
3rd
Evans?
Yeah, in the 3rd, 4th round every year for Mike Evans. It's like the dude.
But now
finishes-
you're getting him in the 2nd
well
or bust.
I
Is
don't
that
know.
too high for you now, Dave?
For Mike Evans?
Yeah.
No.
You're comfortable getting him in the 2nd? huh?
Back end of the 2nd round, I'm fine with Mike Evans.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how many receivers are taken. Like, I'm taking Mike Evans above Ayuk. I'm taking Evans above Olave, Debo. You know, so
Definitely
it just
above
depends on
Olave.
who's there. That's all. I'm not just going to take Mike Evans 7th because he finished 7th last year. You know what I mean? But
Right.
it depends on who's there. That's all. I'm taking him above Diggs.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Sure.
Nico though. I might take Nico first before him, but I don't know yet. I'm
You're
not
gonna
there
have
yet.
Nico.
Yeah, that's scary.
I'm not there yet, but that's kind of like in my pre-head rankings here is where I put him, like around Nico, you know. So,
No.
yeah, and then Baker, he was a top 10 quarterback last year, but I mean, I don't know. He's not going to be in the top 12 in my rankings. I probably not.
Yeah. Same.
Especially with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels coming into, like, you know, those guys are probably going to be close to the top 12. So,
Yep. I don't know. There's value to be had on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It just feels like every year these guys get pushed down rounds for whatever reason, and I don't know.
but that's why I was countering with you with Evans, because the value was with Evans last year. I think I took Evans as my wide receiver 4 last year. You're not doing that this year.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
no. The value is crazy low for Evans
Yeah.
last year, but still, I mean, you know, like we said, we're talking about Olave going in the second round. It's like that's crazy. Give me Mike Evans over Olave.
Right, yeah, because
10
those
times
two
out of
right
10.
there, they both have like arguably bad quarterback play, but arguably Evans has the better quarterback play and the better career. So
Yeah. So I don't know. Look for value there, man. Rashad White, I mean, getting pushed. It's just there's value in Tampa Bay.
Jay, who's winning the division?
Bucks, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care.
Yeah, I
but-
think we can all agree that it's gonna be Tampa.
Nope, I'm going with Atlanta again. Kirk Cousins, they were one game away last year. Kirk Cousins, new head coach. Nah. I believed in them last year to win the division. I believe in them this year with Kirk Cousins and
with
a
a
new
blown
head.
out ankle.
Okay, well maybe you're right. But then is Michael Penix gonna be worse than fucking Desmond Ritter? Right? Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
right? So like, honestly, if they just had Michael Penix, I would be considering them to win the division because I picked them to win the division with Desmond Ritter. So like, I mean, but Kirk Cousins I think puts them over the edge. So what about you, Dave?
No, I'm still going Tampa.
You're on Tampa. Okay.
Yeah, that's just
Nobody liked
it's just,
Tampa last year, so
It's just a better overall team, and they didn't. Nothing's changed. It's the same team that did it last year. I mean, so
better overall team is tough because Atlanta's got a really good defense. So I don't know about Tampa's defense per se. I don't think they were outstanding, but I'm not gonna say they weren't. But I know I like Atlanta's defense. So okay, cool. So that actually we had little different things on both of them. So all right, cool. So thank you for checking out the episode, guys. We flew through that. We took an hour on the AFC and 20 minutes on the NFC.
Yeah.
Well, we did have our chicken discussion. To be fair,
Yeah.
there was the chicken discussion.
That
So
only lasted about 3 minutes.
no, that's me in bed.
ayo,
That's with changing.
ayo.
All right, I know you hate to do it, Zex, but go ahead and promote yourself, buddy. Come on.
No, follow this podcast. Follow this podcast. Do all the things. Hit the buttons all below. They're all right down here. Hit all of them. It really does help out.
We are friends with the Let's Talk Nerdy podcast. I do not mind supporting you, and I will accept your payment later this week.
If you guys want to check out some nerdy shit, check out a podcast that I do with my buddy Adam called Let's Talk Nerdy. Let's Talk Nerdy on all social platforms. Check it out. We have a lot of fun doing it.
And not this buddy, Adam.
Not me. The other
not
Adam.
This Adam. The other Adam. The other Adam.
Other Adam.
Other Adam.
Jay, you got anything to plug?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. Jay, did you get your Keon Coleman jersey yet?
No, not yet.
We'll talk. Do you want me to order some?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk. Adam, what about you? Anything going on?
Nah, man. Just, living that Nashville life, brother.
Haktua, did you meet her?
No.
No, you weren't at that
Not,
bar?
not
I was
yet.
not there.
That chick's from Nashville.
That's where that was.
Oh,
I don't think she's from here. I think she was just on vacation, and whoever did that interview was just on Broadway.
It was like gold
And
mine.
she just happened to walk by. Oh, there's all kinds of interviews on Broadway, dude. You
Yeah.
see people recording videos, doing all
Yeah.
kinds of shit on Broadway. It's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, the legendary video from last year of the people guessing the NFL teams.
Yeah, that
That-
one
I
is
mean-
fantastic.
That was legendary. I mean, one of the best fucking memes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Redbirds or whatever they said. Red Stallions. That's what it was. The Red Stallions. All right. Remember, you can find us on every platform. You can find my other show, The Chazz Cast, on every platform, and you can see us streaming live on The Chazz Cast as well on Twitch. And we didn't have a big crew today watching live, but whatever. They're not here. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.
See you later, guys.
Later, guys.
Later, boys.